On May 16th, 2014, I had a radical encounter with Jesus Christ that forever changed my life. A few months prior to that, I had been in Israel drinking, smoking weed, and getting tattoos that were very anti-Christian. I had entered into Israel in the hope of learning about Islam, so I went into Palestine and I stayed at a mosque for a week and even spent a week at a goat farm. Little did I know that I was on a collision course with Jesus Christ himself. Exactly 4 years ago to this day, I was in my room, drinking, smoking, and merely 2 days before that, I had told my father never to mention the name of Jesus Christ to me as long as I lived. You see, I was a minister's son, and I rebelled against God. I literally told God that I would sin so hard and for so long that he would never be able to forgive me. I got tattoos of all the major world religions on my body, as you can see here on my back and legs. And I spent years traveling around the world, living in debauchery, acting like a total fool, total idiot. Which brings me to that day. Out of nowhere, I was in my room and I heard the words, Isaiah, I am God. It scared me so much, I jumped across my room. The last thing in the world I thought was that it was actually God, so I looked around and scanned my room to see who had broken into my room. After I looked around, I realized that no one had broken in, and I thought, well, maybe this is God. So I thought, who are you? And as soon as I thought that, I heard, audibly, I heard him say, I am Jesus Christ. And then he said, I am the light of this world, and when people choose darkness over light, you do not blame the light. And that was amazing to me because I had blamed God for so much in my life. Stuff that happened to me as a kid and stuff that I had no control over. And it really made me hate him. And but the next thing he said to me was that all that time that you were running away from me when you thought that you were being disobedient, I was right beside you the whole time. And I swear in 2 seconds, my whole life flashed before my eyes. And I could see his hand of providence and protection on me. Even when I was doing the most stupid, ridiculous, idiotic things you can imagine, he was still protecting me. The last thing that he told me was that he loved me, and if I was the only person on this planet, he would have died for me. And I dropped to the floor immediately and just gave my life to Christ that day. Over the course of the last 4 years, I've been on a tremendous learning experience, and I've grown closer to God in ways that I never thought was possible before. My walk with Christ has been far from perfect, and there have been many times in which I've wondered if I'm even a Christian, because my life seems so outrageously unaligned from the Bible and the life of Christ. However, if there's been only one thing that I've done consistently right, it's that I've come to Christ in tears, begging him to change me. I was honest whenever I examined the Word and the words of Jesus and Paul and said, God, when I read this, I know my life doesn't match up, and I'm 100% certain that I cannot do this on my own. I need you to work in my life and through the circumstances and make your word alive in me and work through me by your Spirit if I have any kind of hope, because you know what kind of person I am. I know what kind of person I am. I know that I'm sinful. And that's how I came to him. But over the course of the next year, God would speak to me several more times and put my life in different circumstances and bringing people in my life that would mold me and shape me into a totally different person. After 3 years of being a Christian, the Lord called me back to Asia, which is Korea, where I'm at right now, to reunite with my wife, who I had divorced for. I divorced 5 years earlier. She had actually divorced me due to my drinking and my inability to live up to our wedding vows. On the night that I arrived, she became pregnant with my daughter, Leah Sarang Perez, who will turn 3 months tomorrow. You can actually hear her crying in the background right now. But well, I can't go into all the details. I do want to share with you two things that happened in my life which really caused me to hate God and other Christians. See, I grew up in a super strict religious environment, which I was constantly judged and made to feel inadequate. I got double the judgment as people assumed because I was a minister's kid that I wouldn't make mistakes. But the double standards and the brutal judgment that I saw used against other people really left a bitter taste in my mouth, and one that is still present to this day. To make matters worse, when I went to Bible college my freshman year, I heard Republicans making fun of Bill Clinton's sexual affairs that he had with Monica Lewinsky. I myself was a very sexually immoral person at the time and thought these people would hang me alive if they knew the things that I was struggling with. They also said that she couldn't be a Democrat and a Christian. And you see, my mom was a Democrat and one of the most genuine examples of a Christ that I'd ever seen until this day. And she even adopted 15 kids into our family. But these people were insisting that she wasn't a Christian, even having never met her. You know, this scarred me and ultimately caused me to hate God and Christians and eventually drop out and become an atheist. Several years later, I went back to Bible college trying to find Christ, and I was hurt just as bad as I was before. This time it was by Christians attacking other Christians who had different theological leanings. There was no love, there was no gentleness, there was just brutal bashing of people who thought differently. After I graduated, I vowed to God that I would commit more blasphemy than he had ever seen before. And this leads me back to the beginning of the story. I was a person and I was hurt by Christians, and I just took it out on God. And I say this because as I look around the world, and especially right now in the United States, I see a lack of love and genuine interest in other people by Christians. There's an eagerness to judge, condemn, call names, and letting things like nationalism, politics, denominations, and materialism get in the way of what we are called to do to be like Jesus Christ himself. We are, by and large, as Christians, not doing what we're supposed to be doing and doing what we shouldn't be doing. Now, I'm far from a perfect person or the best example of this, but it is a message that Christ has chosen to task to deliver to me as imperfect and flawed messenger as I am. I encourage you to subscribe to my channel where you can find 10-minute sermons on the lessons that I've learned over the last 4 years. It's been a very long road, but I'm thankful that he saw me through it the entire way. I'll be sharing in time too more of my testimony and the revelation that I've gotten from the Lord. I thank you so much for your time as I share the work in which God has done in me and is continually doing in me. I am completely honest in the fact that I think sometimes that, you know, after all I've experienced, after all that I've encountered from him, that I should be so much better of a Christian. But if you listen to my sermons, that's a driving point in all of my sermons. I don't get on there and try to make myself seem this holy and righteous and perfect person. I present my faults and my flaws, and in making the sermons, I've grown a lot through them, because it's like God's brutal irony that I've created some of these sermons, and sometimes like within a week or sometimes even 2 days, I've been called to apply them in a more profound way than I had ever done before. So I just hope that you'll join me as I share some of the most unbelievable stories that I've experienced with Christ. There's so much more. I wish I could go into all the details right now, but you'll just have to keep checking back up on that. So God bless you, and thank you for sharing my spiritual birthday with me, which is really, I consider my actual birthday, because before that day, it seems like I was not really even living, and he's done such a tremendous work in my life. The fact that I have a wife and a daughter right now, It's just such an amazing testimony, Tim. God bless you all.